Every event planner I've spoken to has said the same thing after a mediocre keynote. They say they knew their stuff, but something was missing. Today, we're going to talk about what that missing piece is. I've been on stages across the country as a speaker. I've sat in audiences listening to other speakers. And what I know is true, and this was confirmed today by my speaking coach, world champion of public speaking, Craig Valentine, is that what separates a good speaker from a great speaker is their ability to connect with the audience and to connect through storytelling. So that as a speaker, you're not just remembered, you're repeated. And this ability to connect, this is a learnable skill. In the next few minutes, you're going to hear exactly how that skill looks in practice from the man who's coached hundreds of speakers to world-class stages. So if you're a speaker, if you're a booking agent, if you're a bureau, if you're an event planner, this is an episode you're not going to want to miss. Craig Valentine is a world champion of public speaking, a title that only a handful of people on this entire planet can claim. Now, I hired Craig not only to help me learn how to talk, but also to help me understand what it takes to make sure that a room leans in as opposed to checks out. Hey, Craig, thank you so much for joining me.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
This is the first time that I really get to ask you questions, even though we've been working with each other for how long? Do you know how long it's been?
I think it was late 2024, right? Because that's when I came out to Seattle.
Can you believe it's been that long?
Yeah, it flew by. It really did.
Man. And the way we met, it was really interesting because it was a National Speakers Association local chapter in the Seattle area. I had just joined before moving to Dallas, and I only made one meeting. The one meeting I made, you were a guest speaker at.
Yeah. And I remember because you were in the back and they were doing an auction. They were auctioning off my academy, and the price kept going up and up and up. And you pulled me aside and said, how much is it really? I told you what it was, and you were like, okay, I'm not going to auction for it.
Yeah.
That's how we met. Yeah.
That is how we met because it's your Speaker Academy training. Is that correct?
That's right.
Or what's the name? What's the proper name of it?
Speak and Prosper Academy is what I was selling at that time. Yeah. Or auctioning off at that time. And so it went way up and up and up and up. And I think two or three people ended up getting it. But that's how we met, because you said, how much is it really? I told you what.
Yeah, because I was raising my paddle and it was going high, and you were donating this to charity. Yeah. And I looked at you, I said, hey, how much is this? This was after you spoke. So everyone that was sitting there, and we were all speakers, we were like, we want to be you. We want to learn how to speak like you. So this thing was going up, and you told me how much it was, and it was less than where we were at raising our paddles. And I looked at you and said, I'm not stupid. And I contacted you. Yep. And I contacted you right after. And I actually didn't use that course, although I think I had access to it, because instead I hired you for one-on-one coaching.
That's right. We've been doing it ever since. Yeah. And I've seen you move from Seattle to Dallas, and you're still connecting with people wherever you go. So it's just amazing to me.
It is. And you've also seen me go from, that was right before I did my TEDx talk in February of 2025. And that's really when I launched into the speaking field, like full force, where it's like, I want more than just breakfast. I want people to hire me. I want to be effective. I want to connect. This is a career. And so you've seen me go from there to where I'm at now. And I continue to work with you because I strongly believe that when you want to get good at something, whether it's, athletics, any type of career, a profession like speaking, like acting, anything, despite how good or how talented you might be, you hire somebody that can get you to the next level.
Yeah. I mean, you know some of my stories, but when I was in prison visiting, an inmate came up after one of my presentations and he said, Craig, I'm getting out of here in a few months and I'm feeling really good about life and I'm back on the right track. And I challenged him. I was like, there's a quote by Will Rogers who says you might be on the right track, but if you just stand there, you'll be run over. And so I remember, Shari, I left that night and I was like, I'm so happy for him. I'm glad he's back on the right track. but maybe I'm standing still as a speaker. Right. So that's when I decided to call up this lady who's supposed to be one of the best public speaking coaches in the country. I think you know her. And I said, listen, I need a coach. I need to be coached by you. And she said, are you sure? I said, yes, I did my research. I know you're the one I want to coach me. She said, do you know how much I charge? I said, it doesn't even matter. And she says, that's great. That will be $4,000 per day. I said, I'm pretty happy with the skills that I have.
How many years ago was that?
That was 2005. And so, but what I realized in that moment was so many people, and I appreciate you for this because you understand it. So many people look at the price of doing something, but they don't look at the cost of not doing it.
Exactly.
So I ended up going out to Vegas, got coached by Patricia Fripp, fripp.com. Go there, get something, tell her I sent you. And when I was out there, keep in mind, I had already won the World Championship of Public Speaking. This is 6 years later. I had been on the circuit for 6 years. And she says to me, give me the beginning of your keynote speech. I gave her the first few lines and she says, okay, I'm going to recommend that you never open that way again.
She's blunt.
I was like, what? And then I said, you know what? I'm going to have to make my ego take a walk on the Las Vegas Strip so I can really face reality and get better. And that was really the moment that changed my entire career. So I agree with you 100%. No matter how good you are, what you do, that old Marshall Goldsmith saying, what got you here won't get you there. So you got to keep working and keep getting coached. I always believe you should always have a coach.
Well, every pro athlete has a coach. Every actor has an acting coach. Every CEO, well, I don't know if every CEO has a coach, but now my understanding is a lot of CEOs will have coaches in different areas. Or if they don't have coaches, they have advisors. People who are at the top of their game have people around them that help them and support them and know something more that can add to what they have. So
and it's just the energy of the people also, right? They say if you're hanging around 5 negative people, you're going to be the 6th, right? It's just like the energy of the people. But I always look at it like if somebody's climbed a mountain and you want to climb a mountain, shouldn't you go to somebody who's already done it? Right? And you should go there not because they can tell you where to step, but they can also tell you where to avoid stepping, right?
Yes.
They can let their long road lead to your shortcut. And so I agree. We should always, I think at this point in our lives, we should always have a mentor and always be one.
And the great thing about working with you is because you have all these phrases. Do you call them anything? Do you call them like Craigisms or anything?
Foundational phrases.
You should throw your name in there, like Craigisms or Valentine-isms or something like that.
That's what other people call it. But yeah, foundational phrases.
And the great thing, though, is when you work with you long enough, you start talking like you. I hear myself same thing. I'm like, oh, there was a foundational phrase there. But
I just coached Daryl the other day. You know Daryl. And I was like, oh, yeah, we worked on that. Yeah.
Yes. And so you gain things from the people you work with as well. So you do you coach a lot of people. When did you move from the speaker? I mean, you're still a speaker, you're still on the circuit, but you also coach a lot. When did you move into the coaching world?
That's a great question. And it's an interesting answer because it was 1999. I just won the world championship. I had given 1 or 2 keynote speeches. And then I got a call from this guy who says, Craig, this is Wade Randolph. I'd like you to coach me on my speech. And I was like, Wade, I'm not a speech coach. I'm just a speaker. I wouldn't even know where to start. He said, I'll pay you. I said, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
And Wade came up from Virginia, came up to DC. We met at the Dr. Martin Luther King Library. I coached him for a while. And I didn't know what I was doing, but he kept coming back. He would come to my home. And all of a sudden, I started figuring out some processes and formulas that would help Wade. Then all of a sudden, word spread of me as a coach. And I'm still just seeing myself as a speaker. But I started figuring out more processes and formulas and things that could help people. And then it was our friend Darren who said to me, Craig, I know you see yourself as a speaker, but the moment you start to also see yourself as a speech coach, I think the whole world will open up to you. And I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I said, I'm a speaker and a speech coach, and the whole world opened up to me. And that's why I give the advice nowadays of when it comes to some things, jump into what you fall into. Because there's a reason you fell, right? Jump into what you fall into. There's a reason you fell. Yeah.
That's,
I said this on a podcast of this man and this woman, and a month later they got engaged. I was like, oh, I guess they took my advice.
they looked at each other like, well, you're here, I'm here.
We fell into each other.
Yeah, we fell in, so might as well go for it. That's funny. I always say that it's easier to make ugly prettier. It's hard to make perfection better. It's the same kind of idea, right? When you're there, you go, what's in front of you, take that first step.
And that's why it's so interesting that I started speaking in 98. I started professional speaking in 99. And almost immediately after that, started coaching.
Wow. So do you think coaching has made you a better speaker?
Yes. Teach that what you need to learn, right? Teach that what you need to reemphasize or remind yourself of. So 100%. Yeah, 100%.
And do you think everybody can... So here, okay, let me take a step back. So you can see two speakers that have the same amount of knowledge, right? They have the same knowledge. They're speaking on the same topic. They can give the audience the same information. But man, this is a hypothetical, but man, are they different, right? One, the audience goes there and they just walk out, they're looking at their watch. The other, the audience is walking up, they're smiling, they're laughing. It looks like they went to a concert. They're having the best time.
Right.
So do you think that do you think that every speaker can become that speaker where everyone's walking out of the room going, man, that was good. Let's invite him or her back.
Yes, in his or her own special way. Like without trying to be like another speaker, I think they can do that. And the thing that we have to remember as speakers are two things. Number one, don't just speak to be remembered, speak to be repeated. Right? Because if they're repeating you, then that means that the message really got across and they're likely to bring you back. Two, don't just give a speech, create an experience. And that's what you're talking about. Like if you create an experience that people enjoy, you're going to be invited back. You're going to get spin-off business, right? I can almost guarantee you, first of all, the answer is yes, any speaker can, but it really requires putting an emphasis on storytelling. Because, people can get their information across in different ways, but if you're telling a story and making a point, then your audience is going to have fun and you're going to do what I call make them tall, think, act, laugh, and learn. Right? If you can do that, you're going to be in great shape. For example, I won the world championship of Toastmasters in 1999. And then 2 months later, no, two days later, if you had been walking towards me in the Chicago airport, the Midway airport, you would have seen my wife on one side of me and me carrying this gigantic crystal trophy that's right over here, right? Just walking through the airport. So how do you think people are reacting to me with this big old truck? They're looking at me like, who is that? And I'll be honest, Shari, I thought I heard a lady say, is that Denzel Washington? I'm joking. But this is where I realized my life would never be the same. This petite lady in a pink dress comes up to me in the middle of the airport. Everybody's watching. And she starts reading the bottom of my trophy. And she says, 1999 world champion of public speaking. Wow. Say some things. And I'm speechless. But that's when I realized no matter where I go in life, people are going to say, would you mind saying some things? So Shari, I came to this understanding about my life and really about your life too now, which is I can no longer get ready to speak. I have to stay ready to speak.
Oh, yes.
The motto is don't get ready, stay ready. Now, tell a story, make a point. If people remember that point, they're going to remember it. They're going to repost it. They're going to repeat it. They're going to retweet it. It's going to get out there. And it might sound corny, but I say this all the time. If you get the buzz, you're going to get the biz, right? And so we want to be able to get our points across in a way that are engaging, make people laugh, and don't just get remembered, but also get repeated. And that's where the foundational phrases come in.
Absolutely. And they help you connect. Everything I do is, it comes back to this connection. And when you talk about it's the storytelling, that's where people can relate. They can see things. They're connecting to you as a speaker. So I feel this when I've told you before that I know that if I decided, let's say I was going to play volleyball or basketball, I can get the best coach in the world, but I know I don't have those natural skills. I could only go so far. But I know I connect with people. And so with coaching with you, being able to use that skill and ramp that up so that it lands even better and more predictable with all audiences, I mean, that's a game changer. So how do you communicate? If you're a, let's say, event planner, right? You're planning an event and you have these speakers. One thing I tell people when I talk to them, I'll tell them, I go, I know I connect. I know I connect because I see the audience. They come after me afterwards. They're messaging me. I know I connect. So I can say that, but how does a event planner look at speakers that they have never met before and go, okay, how do I choose? How do event planners know which speaker connects?
That's the exact reason why I share videos with them, right? I'll share the best way to get booked to speak is for somebody to see you speak. And so a lot of times I'll come referred already, but they still want to see a video or two. And here's the thing about the videos. I'll send videos that might not even be great high quality videos, but a very high quality audience. And what I mean by that is they can see the interaction and the laughter and all that. And they can say, okay, well, if he can do that for that audience, he can do that for us as well. Right. But then it's also about understanding what their pain is and turning their pain into your promise. So, for example, there was Social Security Administration. I'll never forget. And it was in, I want to say St. Louis. And they contacted me and they said, we have leaders who can only lead people who are like them. We need them to be able to lead people who are not like them. So when I'm talking to them and I'm starting to have meetings with them, I say, you know what? I'm going to put a message across about how some people can only lead leaders who are just like them. I'm going to put a message across on how they can lead people who are not like them. So I did. They booked me. They said, okay, if he can do that, because he addressed our pain. I come out there, I give like a half day. And in the middle of the half day, the boss comes up to me, the guy who never heard of me before. He comes up to me. He says, man, your message is spot on. And I was like, yeah, she's the one who gave me the message. Right?
Yeah.
I said exactly what she said. So sometimes it's about just looking for their pain, turning their pain into your promise, and making sure that you can hit that mark. Right. The best way for them to book you to speak is for them to see you speak.
Well, that's a good point. And also a good point with the videos, because now so many speaker reels are so produced. They're almost like they're like a movie, right? You want to grab your popcorn because they're pretty good. They tell a compelling story. You're like, what's happening next? I want to hire them. But with all the technology now, my understanding is a lot of event planners are like, okay, this is a great movie, but let me see something else. And so so I've been recently adding extra video that's, things I didn't take that are from something, including like the TEDx talk, from day one, so they could see something else other than my movie.
I usually send them about 5 or 6 links to different short videos, and I'll label this one's on leadership, this one's on this one's on that. And then I let them know, hey, this is my style, but I'm going to customize my content for you.
That's perfect. And so the connection is with the audience, but it sounds like the connection really starts with the event planner or whoever's hiring you when you talk about finding out what the pain point is, what they really want from you. So what is do you have a checklist or something that you do all of the time when you're booking? Is before the talk, the contact, when you get there, is there a system that you do so you know that you are ready to go when that talk comes?
There are a number of things I do. First, I try to have a meeting, some kind of meeting with them. I do send out a pre-programmed questionnaire to figure out what to do and what not to do, figure out what they want. But then I have a meeting because there are some things they'll tell you verbally that they won't tell you in writing, right? Some behind the scenes things. So I do that. I then start to craft my message, and I craft my big promise based on what they need. So for example, Care First, they came to me and they said, we're training people and we do all this training. And as soon as they get trained, after 2 years, they leave. So we need to retain them. So I put together a big promise of by the time you leave here today, you'll have the tools you can use to become the type of leader that others respect, admire, and want to follow. And you'll be able to create commitment, not just compliance from your staff, and you'll be able to retain the people that you've trained. Boom. That goes right into my big promise. I craft the speech around that and then work on it for a while. And then look at anything I can customize for that audience. And then when I get to the spot, I'll visit the stage, usually ahead of time. And then right before I take the stage, and this is extremely important,
Yeah.
I say to myself, may I forget myself, remember my speech, and touch my audience. May I forget because intention is everything. You know me, Shari. I won the world championship, but when I was going to the world championship back in 1999, I won at the club level, the area level, the next level. And every time I won, somebody would come up to me afterwards and say, great job, Craig. Are you going to win the next one? I'm like, can I just enjoy this one? But no, you're going to win the next one. And even way back then, my stock answer was, I don't know. I just want to touch lives. I just want to touch lives. But here's the thing, Shari. Every time I reached out my hand to touch a life, somebody put a trophy in it. But here's the key. I never reached for the trophy. I always reached for the life.
Oh, that gave me shivers. That's such good advice.
So when I'm talking to speakers or people in sales or whatever, I always ask them, what are you reaching for? Right? Because I really believe if you're reaching to help touch a life, then you're going to be rewarded beyond measure. But if you're just trying to get a trophy or trying to get fame or trying to get audiences know whether you show up for them or you show up for you.
Yes, then they can feel that, right? They can feel that. That's the first step in the flip formula. Don't focus on you, focus on who.
Focus on who. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Flip, yeah.
Flip, yeah. That's it. That is right. Okay, so what are you working on now? What how do people work with you?
Yeah, they can work with me one-on-one just by going to breakthroughspeechcoaching.com, breakthroughspeechcoaching.com, and we can work on different things. However, what a lot of people are opting to do right now is they understand that if you're going to be a speaker, for example, you got to master all parts of speaking. I always say you can't create a masterpiece without first mastering each piece. So you have to master storytelling. You have to master uncovering humor rather than adding it. Right?
Do you think people can learn? Do you think people can learn humor?
I learned humor.
You're not naturally funny?
Sure. My first 10 speeches in Toastmasters has zero humor in them.
But are you naturally funny though? There's two different,
second nature.
Okay. All right. You can keep going because you're funny to me. So
all right. Master the pieces. You got to master keynoting. You got to master training. You got to master uncovering humor. You have to master, if you want to be successful at this, have to master back of the room sales, all these different things. So what I did was I decided to put all of these different pieces into one program called the Transformational Speaker Institute. So if people go to Transformational Speaker Institute, then you can learn how to master all of it and create a masterpiece and make a career out of it.
Wow. Is that a self-paced course?
Self-paced course. Yeah. Yeah, I just released it a couple months ago, so I'm real excited about that.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's great. I have to tell you, I credit you so much for my speaking career. And we're going to work maybe next week or the week after on the things that are coming up, but I'm booked almost every single week coming, starting this fall or actually even July. And I credit you so much for everything that I'm able to deliver from the stage. And
you're touching lives. You're touching lives, and you're needed. Like you're absolutely necessary. You and your message.
Yeah. So it's if anyone's interested. And also, how do people get a hold of you if they want to retain you as a speaker? If they want.
Oh yeah. They would info@craigvalentine.com.
Okay.
info@craigvalentine.com, and then we'll set it up and get moving. And then there's also something I have that is for free. And I always say this, I always ask my audience, I say, raise your hand if a year from now, you'd like to be at least 3 times better than the presenter or the speaker you are today. I don't care who I'm talking to, whether it's CEOs or executives or administrative assistants, they all raise their hand. I say, great. Then for absolutely free, for no fee, you can go to my website, 52speakingtips.com. That's 52speakingtips.com. And every week for a year, you're going to get an audio lesson from me. And by the end of that year, you will be at least 3 times better than the speaker you are today. So that's a place they can go and find me and grow without me even knowing about it. I have a guy who I work with now who had been following me for about 7, 8, 9 years without me knowing it.
Wow.
And now he's a keynote speaker. And he told me the other day, he says, Craig, I don't leave my office for anything less than $30,000. All right. He's getting keynote speeches that are way more. So just, it works. It works. And I didn't even know it was starting from me.
And you make a good point. You don't have to be in the speaking business to learn how to speak better and have it not affect your life in a positive way. That was an awkward sentence, but what I'm saying is being able to speak affects you in every way of leadership.
Yes. The more you connect, the more you convert. Whether it's people buying into your message, whether it's people buying into you as a leader, whether it's people buying something from you. But it's important to be able to speak in a way that connects, and you're the queen of connection, you know this. Public speaking, and I learned this from Patricia Fripp, anything outside of the house is public speaking. Right? So when you do these meet and greets and when you meet people one-on-one in 50 different states, that's all public speaking. And the same things you can do from the stage, you can do one-on-one. So the better communicator you are, I think the more options you have in life and the more lives you can touch as well.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much for talking to me. This is so fun. Thank you, Craig. And after we log off here, I'm going to book my next appointment with you to help me with those upcoming speeches.
You're very welcome. Can I end with something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just want to say, and I always say this with anybody, no matter what you get into, I firmly believe you have to be there before you get there. Right? Got to be there before you get there. And I'll end with this. I want to thank you for this opportunity, Shari. It's always a pleasure to connect with you. When I was in the mid 90s, I'll finish with this. I was an events planner for a technology expo company. And Shari, my job, believe it or not, was setting up the stage for the speakers. And you already know, I'm like, I want to be the speaker. Right?
Yeah. So you knew back then you wanted to, yes.
It was at that time I was kind of in a cocoon where I was learning about everything, but I hadn't yet stepped out on faith, so to speak. It was about a 4 or 5 year period before I joined Toastmasters. And when I was going into all these ballrooms, I would move the chairs around. I'd tape down the power cords. I'd move the lectern up front. I'd move more. They used to call me the chairman because I used to move so many chairs. But it never failed. Every single solitary time I walked into one of those empty ballrooms, I would walk up front, I would stand behind the lectern, I'd look out and imagine that one day people would come to see me.
Wow. But
it was what I said to myself that I think really made the difference. And I get emotional sometimes because I knew way back then that I'd be telling people this story now. What I said to myself every single time was this: today I move the chairs, tomorrow I move the audience. Right.
You had foundational phrases back then.
Even if nobody heard them. But I've been moving audiences ever since. So you got to be there before you get there. And that's a piece of advice I like to leave people with. But I thank you so much for having me, Shari.
Thank you. Okay, let's get on to my speaking career.
Let's do that.
Thanks, Craig.
Flip yeah.
Flip yeah. What Craig just walked us through is what I like to call the invisible credentials. Credentials that you don't see on a speaker's bio, but you notice immediately when they walk into a room. And it's all about connection. Connection through storytelling, connection with your event planners before the event starts, connection to visualizing yourself on stage and impacting the audience, impacting your listener, impacting the team that you're working with, impacting your shareholders, impacting your clients. Now, I have a freebie for you. I recently created the Flip the Box app. It's an easy assessment that you can do and carry with you. And it's a reminder. There's a 4-step process, FLIP, focus, listen, ignite, and play. And this app will help you focus on and see areas of the FLIP formula that can have more focus that will allow you to connect with anyone you choose to in 60 seconds or less and continue to deepen those connections over time. Also in the show notes, I have my contact information if you'd like to book a free discovery call to talk about bringing me to the stage, the women's 3-day retreat. The next one is in Austin in September. We have the 2027 dates as well, or the book tour that's coming in 2027 to 9 cities around. It's a dinner tour. So it's a sit-down connection tour. Craig's information is also in the show notes. And along with that, he has his academy, how to work with him one-on-one, and how to bring him to the stage. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, rate, follow, share, subscribe. That's how we get this message out. And that's how we can bring more guests in like Craig Valentine that will help level up your game. Flip, yeah. Have a good week. What if connection was something you didn't just hope for, but something that you could create on demand? That's the promise of my new book, Flip the Box, A Blueprint for Human-Centered Leadership in a Disconnected World, which launches February 2027. And we're launching this book with a 9-city nationwide dinner tour. This will be like nothing else. This is where conversations happen, where connection is made. It'll be an incredible evening, and we want you at the table because one conversation can change a business. One conversation can change a life. For more information, please visit sharileid.com/book-tour. Hope to see you there.